Welcome back to our Regcast, because we're talking about the pace of change. And when you talk about the pace of change, you end up talking about the cloud inevitably in the IT business. But very often we end up talking about the cloud in this sort of generic, not particularly useful way. So what we're trying to do in this short series of Regcast is to talk about some specific types of business and how the cloud solves specific problems for them. One of the great promises of cloud is often that you can just get rid of large chunks of your IT department. You can decentralize the provision of those IT services. And talking with our cloud specialists for this series of Regcast Star, they pointed out that professional services is an area in which the cloud can maybe help quite a lot of businesses, can help that they need and they're not getting at the moment. So to explain more about that is Grant Tanner from Star. Grant, welcome back.
Thank you, Tim. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, Grant. I like to think of myself as a fairly professional person, so I'm hoping that you'll help me with this. Grant, tell me a little bit about professional services. What do we mean by professional services? That could mean more or less anything.
So yeah, that's probably a great starting point. So hello to everybody. So my name's Grant Tanner, Business Development Director for Star, and I'm sort of faced really with trying to pull together some great propositions into some key verticals. So we really use the provenance of what we've built our business around, and we probably have more professional services organizations in our customer base than any others, quite frankly. And our definition is people that would get paid a day rate to do the job they do, linked with probably some of the non-for-profit organizations, as well as some of the government departments out there that are not central governmentally funded. So people such as housing associations, charities, obviously law firms, accountancies, some consultants, property developers, etc. So this is sort of the typical white-collar worker within the UK as of today.
We asked you to lay out the sort of business problems that these guys are facing at the moment. And, for any of you who are listening to this, I hope you recognize this. I think you probably will. A lot of these guys work with billable hours. Obviously, you want to increase them because that's where your revenue comes from. They work directly with sort of customers who are, I guess in this, we often call them, the clients. And but they also need to innovate because this business is changing as well. It's not, these are problems that are common across a lot of different businesses. What's particularly acute about this in the professional services sector?
So I think one of the challenges they have, and I guess whenever we talk about IT constraints and things, this whole thing of legacy keeps coming up. So as I point out a lot, legacy for some businesses in this particular vertical is absolutely key. It's legacy for a reason. It's because it works and runs their billing engines. So these would be legacy HR systems, legacy housing management systems, surveying systems, etc., etc. And some of these absolutely work really, really well. So legacy does not necessarily mean old. It means line of business. It means bespoke, and it means tailored to the functional outcome of your particular business process. Lawyer, housing association, quantity surveyor, etc. So what we are saying really is that you may be constrained by some of your IT systems. You may not always be constrained with your legacy systems, just that you never get off to have a good look at them. When I spoke to a housing association recently, their sort of killer application, which they cannot do without, is that housing management tool, which they've had for 15 years. They would love to do something more with it, but can never free up the time to actually look at it seriously to say, is there something that could replace it? And this is sometimes incredibly costly. So what we're trying to establish with the professional services vertical is actually, there are some standards and some governance and some compliance that you need to work around here that would allow you to transform some of your businesses maybe away from this legacy. But actually, if you could transform some of your business by IT and innovate, it might free up some more time to look at these legacy systems, which you can focus on, which ultimately are your life and blood, your lifeblood. You daren't take away somebody's case management system overnight. They go bust. So what we're saying and advocating is that we can take away some more of those common applications, provide you back the collaboration tools, and we talk about that a little bit more in depth. Therefore, freeing up some time for your sort of your specialist IT people to look at their line of business application, effectively reviewing the legacy. So I would sort of argue that sometimes you're not constrained by legacy. You sort of know you are, but it sort of works. You're constrained by finding the time to address what legacy means to you.
But I'm interested in how cloud really solves this problem, because I'm thinking that if you show up at the door, Grant, you could have an entertaining conversation with them, but they don't really want to know from cloud people. They really want to know about just fixing their software as it is, maybe going through an upgrade. Now, you've got on the IT constraints that the upgrade cycle is a problem. Well, it seems to me that maybe it's solving their problem.
Oh, totally. So again, if you talk about some of the sort of common applications around your working days, typically Outlook or some form of messaging platform, so much effort has been put into a technical level to allow those systems to be delivered via cloud, that I think you'd be foolish to try and develop the same yourselves. That's just isolated half of our audience there, Tim. But the reality is that people like Microsoft have put enormous effort down at a granular level to make these applications very cloud friendly, and you could call that SaaS if you like. So Star has taken what those SaaS providers have done, embellished it, and pre-integrated with telephony, with instant messaging, OCS, etc., and delivered it per person per month. Now, if you can do that, provide a quality of service around it, put some governance and compliance around it as well, so you know where the data is, and you can deliver that per month, that has got to be an enormous benefit for the bulk of your IT. Again, if you can then integrate that back with the line of business applications, and again, it would be things like case management, housing management systems, conveyancing systems, etc., then you've actually created a pretty slick IT function for the majority of your users that may have taken you in the past years. And if you're complex, if you're large, if you're sort of 1,000-user organization, the cost to change on that is enormous. So if you can do things more effectively by consuming some of the more generic systems from cloud, but have somebody integrate them with your line of business applications, I think you're in a much better place to increase your billable hours, to increase your flexibility, and ultimately deliver a better service back to your customer.
Grant, I've spoken to quite a lot of these guys. I helped out at a conference, and where in the audience were a lot of exactly these people. Asked them for a show of hands, are they using cloud? No, because even for these generic applications, the governance that they have to put in place was in excess of what a cloud provider could guarantee them. How do you solve that problem?
So I think you solve it by certification, and effectively it's show and tell as far as we're concerned. So within the UK, we run our own data centers, we run our own private networking. We very much sit in the middle of the Gartner box around private and virtual clouds, which are secure and proven to be by external audit. So I think that actually we meet muster more so the internal IT functions of many of our customers, hence they consume the service. We have more expertise in firewalls, SSL delivery, facilities management than the majority of our customers do. And that's also echoed by a lot of the people in the UK Cloud Alliance, where we have external auditors and escrow services being part of that. So we're not just saying we do this, we're actually opening up the cupboard and saying, come and have a poke around and make sure that we do meet muster point. At
a very basic level, for example, you can say to them, your data is not leaving the UK.
Absolutely, and it's not leaving your network, and it's secure, and it's a defense in depth strategy if you want to go that route. And you're absolutely spot on, really.
Does this take away some of the cost advantages of providing these applications in the cloud? Because this is expensive for you to deliver.
Well, I think, we multi-tenant a lot of these. So when I talk about common applications, they'd also be common across platforms within our data centers. So, if you took a mail service from you, you would be taking a secure slice from a multi-tenanted email platform. What we've done is successfully pre-integrated that, though, with the other areas such as presence, messaging, fax, calendars, screen sharing, etc. And that's the bit that actually it is costly to do originally, and again, leverage our, the expense we've gone through to deliver that service back. But that's the path we've chosen, Tim. That's what we do as a living, and that's what we do repeatedly very well.
Should these guys be slimming down their IT departments? And if you move that over to cloud services, a lot of the time, like you say, a lot of the IT department time is spent keeping email going, for example. Move that over to cloud, you can have a much slimmer IT department, have more people who are charging billable hours.
So I'm hesitant to say yes, because my approach would be that my approach would be that the people that know their businesses best are the people that work in that business. So we wouldn't go into a law firm and tell them how to run their law firm better. What we would do is tell them how to innovate through technology. And if the technologists within that law firm could work with us to look at their line of business applications to get them better to increase the billable hours, that would be a much better outcome for that law firm. And I think the key thing here, the absolute key for this is this has to be outcome-based. The starting point is you as a professional services organization, what do you want? What is it you're trying to achieve? Is it more billable hours? Is it more customer retention? Is it more freedom to do mergers and acquisition? It has to be outcome-based, and we want to work with IT to make those outcomes the right one for their business. The reality is, Tim, if they don't do that, they won't be around anyway. So the threat is not from Star. The threat is from how these businesses are operating today.
Let's start. Do you tend to work with smaller professional services operations? Because I would imagine that there's a big difference between how a local law firm and a global law firm, for example, would operate. So
what we find is that our target market is probably from about 100 seats up to 5,000 seats, in terms of size of organisation in the UK, or we work with departmental larger organisations that have offices in the UK, and I think that's a really good way of working. And the reason for that is because if you take people that are in a regulatory professional services organisation, they would want to work in the UK with local UK providers because regulatory says they have to. So I can point to some very large financial services organisations that use Star services that are global, but their departments or their UK subsidiaries or UK departments use Star services to avoid any of the safe harbour or Sarbanes-Oxley regulatory issues that they may have. So, I can't just say that we operate in a certain market. We certainly operate in the UK market, and we operate to people that want to utilise UK IT resources.
Do you want to touch eventually their line of business applications, or are you happy to keep your hands off those?
So I think there's some, if you like, operating systems and middleware and database functions that we absolutely can assist with. But we would bring in specialists within, again, the cloud alliance that we run to really work with the customer from an IT perspective to enable transformation, and that's really key to us, and that's the secret to success. One thing we haven't gone as far is to look at sort of business process realignment and change management. We are absolutely a technology firm, which is the reason we're talking to you as the reg and not to people that are doing business process change management.
Those hand-waving people, yes, exactly. But you in doing that though, then you naturally restrict what you can really help with. You're sort of, what you're saying is you're taking away the messy stuff around the edge, so they can concentrate on the difficult big applications that are specific to their business that they've built in the middle, and they can fix them themselves.
So I'm not saying they can fix them themselves all the time. I'm saying that we would, as Star, we would actually work with them in collaboration. So if you take things like social business, which might actually be a better way of working as opposed to using email if you're a professional services organisation. We would bring in somebody that's an absolute expert in that field, and we have done. So there's a big rise around social business tools. We're very much a part of that as a collaborative within the Cloud Alliance to deliver those services. We're also, very involved in things like SharePoint, which actually could be a replacement for case management systems if you so wish, Dynamics in the CRM space, etc. So we are very application aware and application friendly, but we are not a system integrator and we're not a business process outsourcer. However, we will bring those specialist areas into the technology debate with our customer base. For us, that's a differentiator, because as small as Star, maybe to some of these Goliaths, it allows us to be very, very flexible, very nimble, and deliver projects on time.
Again, one of the things you have touched on there, I just want to make sure we get this in, when you're talking about social business, that also touches on the idea that a lot of these businesses have people working in a lot of locations, or working in other people's offices, or working, or just working from home a lot of the time. Do you help very much with that?
Absolutely, we do. So from an infrastructure as a service point of view, remote working and those things are just in our blood. Those are products you can literally order online from us, SSLs and those types of things. But then it moves much more into, okay, what type of device would you like to serve that data up on? Is it thin client? Is it smartphone? Is it iPad, etc.? And again, very acutely aware that, in professional services, probably more so than elsewhere, there needs to be a ubiquity about IT, the freedom to work anywhere, the ability to still track the billable hours, etc., through whatever systems they are. And absolutely right, Tim. We worked with a quantity surveying organisation that was global, that were taking sort of the generic services from us, but wanted them distributed to Dubai. So how do they jump on a Wi-Fi in Dubai and get to the services? Well, cloud is a fantastic service for that. Now, the reality is the data resided in our data centres in Bristol and London, but they did get access to that. It's a seamless service, and it just works. The secret is how Star has to make sure that it just works by doing the really hard bit of pre-integrating the solutions.
One of the things that's very much part of this, but was also a part of the separate conversations we've had about media and retail, is that a lot of cloud providers have a sort of passive model where they say, get your some of your infrastructure or your applications from us. We're not really getting involved apart from providing it, and we'll give you some guarantees around providing it. You do with it what you will. Your model seems to be very much more active and very much more involved day to day in the business. Is this a way in which you see yourself as different from a large generic cloud provider? Is that the right way to look at it?
I think you're right. I think over time, and without the risk of getting fired by my CEO, you would probably find people like Star becomes cloud integrators or cloud brokers. We're very much a cloud integrator today on our own product suite. So, we take our version of SaaS, Work Life Talk is the product name, to market to provide the complete wrapper for desktop messaging, collaboration, OCS, etc. And that will link into other areas such as customer relationship management, contact center, etc. So the key thing is today we are integrating those services and delivering them out. Tomorrow, those services could be federated to either the customer's on-prem or even the customer's third party, or even, at a push, the customer's other suppliers. And we do touch on this a little bit today around how we work with content providers, where the origin servers may not be within the domain of a Star data center, but nevertheless we can consume, integrate it, package it, and deliver it pay as you go. So that's the direction I think the market is moving, and I'd love to think that Star is ahead of that market.
Now, to wrap this one up, Grant, next time I'm standing up in front of these professional services guys, they got their arms folded and they're scowling at me because I've mentioned the cloud, I'm going to say to them, Grant Planner tells me that this will change your mind, and so now you have to provide me my line. What would you say to them?
Well, I think, look at the outcome based. If you are a professional services organization, what is the outcome that you want from IT? Is the outcome increased billable hours, increased customer service, or is the outcome actually you just want to innovate, to be a leader in your field? So please use IT to do those things, and Star can get you there.
Lovely. Grant Tanner, that's fine. Thank you very much. Now, also, if you've been listening to this and you're thinking, this was useful, but I'm actually in retail or the media business, well, that means you've been listening to the wrong Regcast, because we've also been talking to Grant about those two subjects, those two vertical markets. So please, listen to all three of them. There's good stuff in all of them. Grant, thank you for helping out with all that. It's been pretty useful.
Really appreciate the feedback, Tim, as always. So, please be challenging. That's the way we grow as a business.
Yeah, and so what he's saying is exactly right. If you've got anything you want to ask, or some things you think you didn't say, let us know. Get in touch with us. We pass it on to Grant, and we say, sort this one out for us, mate. And he has to, really, at that point. And so, please do. It's kind of like free advice almost, isn't it, really? Thank you very much for listening to this Regcast. Let us know what we can do for you, and we'll try and do it for you. But thank you for listening to this, and thank you, Grant, for showing up. And we'll have you back again, Grant, if we can think of some more vertical markets. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do some more reading on Wikipediaing.
Oh, the secret of a business development manager. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Grant. And we will see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great, thanks. Bye.
Grant Tanner
has gone.